Joined now by Governor Cuomo here in New York City. Really pleased to finally get a chance to talk to you. This has been quite a race. A local race usually doesn't bubble up to the top of the national consciousness, but here you are taking on Zohran Mamdani. Before you had a couple of other contenders, but Mamdani, at least at this point of this conversation, the polls indicate that he has a lead. Obviously, you're trying to bridge that gap. Tell me about what your messaging is here as we come down the final stretch.
Yeah, well, you know what's going on, and you're right, it is a national situation. And you have this quiet civil war going on in the Democratic Party, where you have the extreme far left really challenging the mainstream of the Democratic Party, right? The far left call themselves Democratic Socialists. I call them just socialists. And they're a much extreme left perspective on the economy, on public safety. So it is that battle is what you see going on all across the country. And you see that here in New York City. That's what the primary was about. In the primary, you had a big turnout of the 20 to 30-year-olds, young people, which is a good thing, identify as socialists. And they came out. Zohran was very good on social media and connected with them on social media. Got a big turnout and beat me by about 100,000 votes in the primary. General election now is a different story. It's a much larger electorate. More moderate Democrats come out, what we call outer borough Democrats outside of Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx Democrats. So it's a different electorate, and they're more concerned with public safety. They're concerned with jobs. So they have a different orientation than the primary electorate.
Tell me about Curtis Silva, his factor in this race, because he has a small amount of support, but maybe enough to be the margin of victory for either you or Zohran Mamdani. So he's obviously not pulling out to date. It seems like President Trump isn't even asking him to pull out. Maybe he's thinking about the future and battling New York City. So talk about that with your internal team about these dynamics.
Well, you have Zohran gets about 40%. I get about 30%, and Sliwa gets about 10%, let's say. Sliwa is a Republican candidate. He's the perpetual Republican candidate. It's very hard for a Republican to win as mayor in New York City. It's a very Democratic city. It's a blue city, I'm happy to say. It's 70% Democratic. So he's run a number of times, can't win, but can get enough votes to be a spoiler. And that's what the concern is now, that he is just a spoiler in the race to help Mamdani.
And Mamdani in particular has made his identity, his faith, a big part of this campaign. It's very unusual as someone who's been covering South Asian politicians, Indian American politicians in particular, around the country. Usually faith is not brought up to this degree, but it seems like talking about his identity has resonated with a number of folks that normally feel marginalized in these elections. So we just saw you in Jackson Heights trying to talk to different leaders. Tell me about your appeal to these communities of color who often do feel like they're on the sidelines.
Yeah, well, it's sort of a natural New York phenomenon. My father was a politician before me and Italian American descent. So you appeal to the Italian American community. There's a certain amount of excitement that you're going to get the first Italian American elected. Zohran has reached out to the Muslim community, the Hindu community, and that is, ethnic pride. What you have to be careful of in what I think Zohran has done, which I object to, is dividing people. We're now at a very sensitive situation with Israel and Palestine, obviously. We have the largest Jewish population outside of Israel in New York City. And he has been very offensive to the Jewish community. You have 1,000 rabbis sent a letter saying that he has endangered the safety of the Jewish community. I've never seen 1,000 rabbis agree on any letter, to tell you the truth. So that's what you have to watch in New York City, any urban area. Appeal to your people. Great, I'm Italian American, I want the Italian Americans to support me, be proud, fine. Don't divide, don't polarize, right? Don't separate, don't try to use discrimination, don't try to use fear. And that's what we've seen, I think, from Zohran, and that's unfortunate. You have predominantly with the Jewish community, but you have it, he said, cast aspersions on the Italian American community, the LGBTQ community. And in these types of urban areas with this concentration, division is dangerous, right? That's what you want to work against.
And I do hear part of the reason this has become a national race is there's a lot of folks who are looking at things from a more moderate standpoint, and it does seem like we have a lot of folks on the far right and the far left who are getting the attention. Can a moderate candidate win in this new environment of media and how you reach people?
Well, there's no doubt the country is polarized, and you have an extreme right and you have an extreme left. And there's no doubt the majority of Americans are moderate, and they're in the middle. And the moderates in the middle feel alienated because they don't agree with the far right and they don't agree with the far left. But the far left and far right get all the attention because that's the rhetoric, that's the hyperbole, that's the heat, right? So they get the attention. The middle of the country is saying these people are crazy on both sides, right? And they're alienated. And that's why the country's in the situation that it is in right now, frankly, which is not a good situation. So that has to be worked through. I think it will in time. But right now, you have an alienated middle, an inflamed left, and an inflamed right.
And specifically to the Indian American community, the majority of them are actually Hindu Americans. They feel like Mamdani has made some comments that were potentially inflammatory, and he was found at a rally for Sikh separatists using derogatory language. People in the background certainly were. So he's put himself in situations, and he doesn't seem to mince words. So I know Mayor Adams denounced some of the rhetoric that Mamdani has used. I know you have as well on social media. Do you have thoughts about this? Because again, these communities are kind of insular. Some of these intercommunal battles that you see on social media don't maybe make it to mainstream, but certainly it's triggered a lot of folks nationally to pay attention to this race.
Zohran is a divisive character. He really is. He's offended the Hindu community. He's offended the Sunni Muslim community especially. He wants to decriminalize prostitution, which is haram. Italian American community, I mentioned. Black community, he called Barack Obama evil and a liar. Barack Obama is the first black president, very well regarded. So he uses hot rhetoric, cutting rhetoric, that has been very divisive. Now, that's an old campaign tactic, right? Unify your people and divide others. But it's unhealthy. It's not what leadership is all about. And you can never put it back in the bottle. Once you become a divisive force, that's who you are and that's what you are. My father was my political mentor. He was all about finding commonality, finding universality, bringing people together, calming people down. Let's find the similarity rather than focus on the difference. And let's make a community, knit a community out of this beautiful diversity. That's government and leadership at its best. And that's what I aspired to do and did do as governor.
And for those people who look at politics as usual, very skeptical about the way politics are, obviously we see what's going on in Washington, D.C. That's very divisive as well. Your record, you've been in politics for a very long time. There's baggage associated with that. For those people who are critical of you, who don't want to consider your campaign because of some of the stuff in the past, what do you have to say to those folks?
Look, I was governor 11 years. I was attorney general 16 years before that. I signed 1,000 pieces of legislation. I went through COVID, which was a nightmare for this city, which had it first and worst, and for this nation. When you do as many things as I did, and built a new LaGuardia Airport, new Kennedy Airport, new Mario Cuomo Bridge, new Kosciuszko Bridge, new 2nd Avenue subway, new Moynihan train hall. When you do that many things, are there things that people object to? Of course, especially in New York, where everybody has a different opinion about everything. And are there things that you would do differently? Of course. And do you make mistakes? Of course. That's the nature of actually doing. But I think if people take a step back at all with any objectivity and you look at the entirety of the situation, yes, there are going to be things that you can find that we can argue about. But overall, we made great progress in this state. We rebuilt the infrastructure in this state, passed the highest minimum wage in the United States of America, the best paid family leave program, first state to pass marriage equality that allowed people of the same sex to marry, strongest anti-discrimination law, free college for the middle class. So we did a lot of good things. You want to find the negative, you can find the negative in any picture.
Well, I really appreciate your time. I understand that it's a hectic couple weeks before this election ends, but I really appreciate your context and best of luck here in November.
Thanks.
Thanks.